So Blake is in a very dark place. Say a prayer for Blake, by the way. Here are some highlights out of the Democrat donor assassination attempt. Ryan Ruth, who is a major Democrat, he calls Greta Thunberg the only true world leader. He says he has a plan to assassinate Putin as well as Trump, was to blow him up with drones at some guy's rich boat. The chapter titles of Ryan Ruth's book is all about Ukraine cannot win, so the world must win the war. What is wrong with the Russian civilian population? He can't even spell words anymore. Where are the world leaders? I mean, this guy is very, very passionate about this. Cincinnati.com, which is I think it's a Gannett company. They just said the quiet part out loud. Now, this is technically a letter to the editor, but an editor can choose whether or not to run a letter to the editor, okay? So the editor is legitimizing this. Quote, let's get this up on screen. This is a real letter to the editor that is now published. Trump brings these assassination attempts on himself. This is the media. When Donald Trump continues to lie about losing the 2020 election and legal immigrants in Springfield, he brings the crazies out, and one of those crazies tried to shoot him. Guys, I have to press pause here. This is record irresponsibility from the mainstream media. So just so we're clear, Donald Trump gets shot at in the ear. Donald Trump almost gets shot again, and the media says, haha, you deserve it because you notice that mass migration is hurting Springfield. Haha. That is the position of the Democrat corporate media. Trump brings these assassination attempts on himself. You deserve it. So if he would have died, what the Cincinnati editor is saying at the Cincinnati Enquirer is death penalty totally appropriate for speech crimes, totally appropriate for political differences, totally appropriate. We have been saying this for quite some time. They hate Donald Trump so much. There is no limit to where they will go. And now the media publishes the most reprehensible and repulsive letter. Again, you can get a lot of letters because that will be there. Oh, it's just a letter to the editor. You decided to run this letter and legitimize it. Letter to the editor. Let me just repeat this again. Trump brings these assassination attempts on himself. He invited it upon himself. He deserves to die, is what the mainstream media is saying. What country are we living in right now? And this is the country that was preaching to us about joy and unity and bringing down the temperature. There is no bringing down the temperature, everybody. There's only winning. There is no middle ground for a media that acts this way. This is just a few hours before the assassination attempt. Democrat Representative Crockett saying that MAGA is a domestic threat to the homeland. Play cut 35.
You know, my heart breaks that this election is close because this comes down to just some basic norms and principles of what we should see in leadership. When I talk about MAGA, I talk about the fact that when we swore in finally in January, that we swore to defend against those that are coming against us, whether they are domestic or international. And right now, I feel like MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. And we see it time and time again.
This is a former FBI counterterrorism expert on CNN who details this is a political hit against Donald Trump. A political hit. That when you increase the rhetoric and equate Donald Trump to Hitler, this is not the last of the crazies that will do this. The last of I know Matt Walsh has to have full-time security. I have to have full-time security. It is open season for anybody associated with MAGA. Donald Trump Jr. has so many assassination attempts. They can't beat us, so they are trying to deploy the shock troops of the base of the Democrat Party to murder all of us. Not an exaggeration. They couldn't care less. They would delight and laugh if any one of us were to be murdered. The censorship attempts are not enough. The voter fraud is not going to be enough. It's not enough what they're doing in these key states. Mail-in ballot requests are down in record levels in Pennsylvania. Voter registration in Arizona is going well. Polling is tightening. They got to do something dramatic. They're running out of options. So what they're trying to do is increase the political rhetoric temperature, deploy their shock troops, and then say, oh, you deserve to die. Death penalty works. That's not my exaggeration. Read their own reporting. Play cut 31.
What does the fact that he wanted to survive say to you?
It says that he's not, first, he's not suicidal, apparently. He wasn't going to take his own life if he was almost being captured. Clearly, we saw that he was captured without that. And it tells me that he's probably much more politically motivated. The last shooter in Pennsylvania, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to promote him in any way, but he was clearly a guy that was looking for the notoriety of taking that shot. I would think we're going to find that this guy's extremely politically motivated and that he probably was spurred on by much of the political diatribes that are going on these days, talking about Trump equating him to Hitler and things like that. So I don't think this is the last we'll see of crazies out there trying to do this.
You got to wonder how someone who is from North Carolina and lives in Hawaii knows exactly where to be when Donald Trump is golfing in an off-the-record moment. I don't even know where Donald Trump was. At gunpoint, you could have said, hey, where's Charlie? Where's Donald Trump, Charlie? I don't know. How does he know that exactly? I'm sure we'll find out, just like we found out all the information in Butler, Pennsylvania. It was not on any public schedule. It was on no public report. It's awfully flummoxing, isn't it? This is MSNBC, again, continuing that it's us. We need to tone down the rhetoric. We need to calm down. So it's not them calling us Hitler and end of democracy. Time magazine showing Donald Trump face planning. The New Republic showing Donald Trump with the Hitler mustache. And it was so interesting. When I was at the Republican convention in Milwaukee just days after Donald Trump got shot, the media would flood up to me. Well, Charlie, are you going to bring down your rhetoric? Charlie, are you going to bring down your rhetoric? Charlie, are you going to bring down your rhetoric? See, that's how this game works. We get shot at, we get death threats, and it's our fault because we magnetized it. We invited it. We're a magnet to the rhetoric and to the lies. We're a magnet to the death threats. We manifested it because we noticed things. We manifested it because of our fiery rhetoric. This is MSNBC blaming the assassination attempt on Trump. You'll notice that in the clip, this was before a lot of details were made possible, that this guy's a Democrat donor. This guy is a MSNBC loyalist. This guy is a Democrat primary voter with a Harris bumper sticker. None of that is going to be, by the way, covered on this media. None of it. No, instead, they're going to say, increasing rhetoric to blame for Donald Trump's third assassination attempt. Play cut 19.
Yeah. Do you expect there to be calls from within the Trump campaign to do that? Because he's going to reach out to his supporters and say, let's take this down. We do not know, again, the source of any gunshot or gunshots. We don't know who's responsible for this. The whole thing has yet to be 100% confirmed from start to finish how this all played out. But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
Well, Alex, remember back to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life and how, there was talk of a new tone, and then the Republican convention was, by Trumpian standards, muted. And it did seem like he was, just trying to take it down a few notches. But then by the end of his convention speech, we were kind of back to where we started.
Saying that Donald Trump deserves to die because he says things you don't like is like saying a girl with a short skirt is to blame if she gets raped. It's exactly the same line of thinking. That dangerous, wrong line of thinking, oh, you were asking for it, is what they're saying. All of you MAGA people talking about how much you love the country and how you want to stop mass migration and you don't want to see Springfield, Ohio continually abused, jobs sent overseas, sons and daughters sent to war, community flood with opioids, and then a bunch of Haitians going to replace you. Oh, you don't want to see Aurora, Colorado overrun with Venezuelan gangs like Tren de Agua? you deserve to die. I hear this all the time, by the way, from Democrats on social media, where they say, Charlie, be careful with this kind of language. Be awful if something happened to you. This is the type of mentality built into your average Democrat. The average Democrat in this country, I truly believe, does not care if Donald Trump dies. And I know this. I saw a Democrat neighbor the other day, and I passed him. I said, hey, someone tried to kill Donald Trump again. And they said, oh, okay. And they kept on walking. Most Democrats are unfazed by this. Jack Posobiec walked the halls of the Democrat convention in Chicago for 15 minutes, trying to find a single Democrat that would denounce that Donald Trump got shot. Not a single one would. Of course not. Because they know that all of their problems would be solved if Donald Trump got shot. Many of their problems actually would not be solved. But they are so insecure, Democrats are. They know they can't win elections the right way. They know that voter registration is not going their way. They know that these trends are going against them, that they're hoping and praying that a bullet will enter Donald Trump's brain. They're just upset it hasn't happened yet. We are in late stage republic stuff. The third worldification of America is here. And thank the Lord. Let's just say thank you, God, for protecting Donald Trump yet again, the third time in just the last couple of weeks, where they are legitimizing and normalizing assassination attempts against conservatives. And they're not going to stop, everybody. And if this is too much for you, go get drunk and watch football. We have a country to save, and we will defeat these savages that want us all dead, you included.